On today's show, from the hit NBC series California Dreams, please welcome J. Anthony Franke.
Hey everybody, how you doing? I just wanted to say, Mike, thanks again for having me. But also, when I think yours was one of the very first interviews I agreed to do after years of being just away and not doing anything. So the last interview we did was, I think, one of my very first interviews back, if you will. I don't know if back is the word, but anyway, glad to be back and thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mike Graham Show. And today's special guest, please welcome back from the hit NBC series California Dreams. He played Jake Sommers, J. Anthony Franke. Hey Jay, how are you?
Hey Mike Rand, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Thank you so much for coming back to the show. We love having you here. And tell everybody where you're from in case, some people don't know where you're broadcasting from right now.
Well, where I'm from and where I am are two different things. I'm from Maryland and then Los Angeles, but now I've lived for the past 15, 16 years in Melbourne, Australia. So I live, work, and love here, and that's and pray and eat, and well, I don't pray a lot, but anyway, eat and do the whole thing. And that, yeah, I'm in Melbourne, Australia. G'day, mate. Shrimp on the barbie, that whole thing. And yeah, so it's a very different time zone. I'm from the future, actually. So yeah, so you get up tomorrow. That's good. Yes.
Yeah, so if I want to know anything that happens in the future, I always reach out to Jay because he's ahead of us. So I can be like, Jay, what's going to happen tomorrow? And just like that, he's got the answers for me. So it's great.
I'm like,
you know what? Maybe I should start one of those psychic friends hotlines. You can help me out here. We can do some sort of deal and negotiate something there.
Yeah, I've tried to figure out the lottery system, but that hasn't worked out yet. So anyway, oh, and I did find out though that Americans can play the Australian lottery and Australians can play the American lotteries, which I don't understand why that's a thing. Yeah,
that's weird.
That is very weird. Yes, we have commercials for it actually for the other countries' lotteries.
Yeah. So guys, be sure, we did do an interview with Jay before, so be sure to check that out as well so you can learn all about behind the scenes of California Dreams. We're going to talk about California Dreams as well, obviously, today, but go back and watch that other interview as well. And, the main reason we got you here, Jay, is because since last time, there's been a reunion. You did a reunion, and now another one is coming up. So I want to let everybody know that on Friday, July 12th and Sunday, July 14th at the Hotel Ziggy on the Sunset in West Hollywood, you all are getting together. There's going to be a brunch, a meet and greet, concert. What else am I missing here? Everything on earth is happening that day, those 2 days.
So the 12th is earlier in the day is the meet and greet and the whatever, and then later on is the concert at night. And then Sunday is the VIP brunch and matinee show. And then who knows? It all kinds of crazy things could happen. So but that's what I'm allowed to talk about. And yes, we did a reunion in October in New York City at Stitch Bar and Blues in Midtown and or Hell's Kitchen. And yeah, that was it was fantastic. It was fun. It was cathartic. It was as I think People Magazine did a little interview with us, and it was there, how do you feel? I was like, my heart is full. Like we've got a lot of fans here that are absolutely loving this, and they're older and they've matured, and we're here and we've matured, and we're all enjoying ourselves, and we're all doing this. So we're gonna do it again. And yeah, I'm flying out from Australia. It's a terrible flight, but I'm going to do it. And yeah, it's very long and arduous, but hey, it'll be worth it. So
Yep, and you guys can get all the info as well at californiadreamsband.com. So go to
Yep,
that website, check it out. You'll be able to get your tickets and find out all the information there. Now, I want to
yep,
know at this one that you just did at the in New York City, I want to
yep.
know what was it like to have almost everyone there for the first time ever. It was enormous. Plus, you also had Diana Uribe join you as well. So tell us about that. What it was like seeing everybody again.
Um, First of all, it was fantastic to see everybody again. And yes, we had it was a house full of people that were having just the time of their lives. I mean, and it was evident. I mean, it was almost like it was it was almost like you were seeing a real act, right? Which we are. But I mean, but it was almost like it was, people were seeing us. I don't even know how to describe it. Like the feeling, the electricity in the room, the everything. It was just beautiful. It was nice. I like to when I talk about the relationship between us and the fans, like us, a lot of the fans that showed up have been with us for a long time. But when we started, they were very young and we were very young, and it was kind of a different relationship. And there was a lot of screaming and then this time we all got together and we were all older and they were mature and we were more mature. And it was like, and we actually sat and, or not sat, but like stood or sat and had conversations and talked about things, and they talked to us about things that they loved and we talked to them about things we loved, and it was a more mature uh, 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 relationship. It was a mature relationship between us and our fans, which was kind of cool because yeah, I didn't see that coming. I really didn't, and I didn't see people being that excited coming out either, and that people were really happy to be there. People even brought their children. Um, Fans brought their children, and those children knew the songs as well as we did. It was, and then Diana, to see Diana as to get to that. First of all, is she not? I mean, I know you've seen the videos. Is she not the greatest hype woman ever? Um, she was fantastic. And to see her was amazing. To see everybody was amazing. All the ladies looked great. The guys looked great. Everybody was just, it was just a big love fest. It was a big love fest.
Yep, it was awesome. And I do have to say, because I always say Yuri Bay when it's Yuri B. But you know what? She knows it. And she gets a little A at the end. Why not? It
Yep,
sounds
yep,
cool. But
yep.
and then also, Brentley Gore joined the band as well, right? Because I think that was the first time Brentley in a while, right? So,
Yep.
we had Brentley on here, but tell us what it was like, to have Brentley there back again too.
Hey, look, no matter what, like I love Brentley. I think he's a great dude. Always has been. Welcomed me with open arms back in the day. And hey man, it's what he does. This is like he went to school and he trained and he, to be a musician and a performer, and so it's just always great to see him do what he does. And then also just to know him as a person is always a pleasure as well. So yeah, so it was good
Yep,
to
and
see
then and
Brentley.
then and then thank God everyone's okay because there was a doctor in the house. I heard. We had him on the
Yes,
show
yeah.
too. Let's mention that because that's very, very big. We got a doctor now.
Yep, yep. Dr. Jones, Dr. William James Jones, is a clinical psychiatrist with his own practice now, and I think he's got people actually working for him as well in his practice. Yeah, very erudite, very educated young man. And I say young man because he's like a couple years younger than I am, but so he's maybe 49, I'm 52, or he's 48 or something. But no, he's done very well for himself. We're all very proud of William. And that being said, William will not be able to make it because he does have prior commitments uh, during this reunion. So, but I'm sure he'll join us in future ones. So.
Yep. And tell everybody, your flight from Australia. How long did it take? And we want to know, was there anything that went wrong with your flight? And obviously, I was all over social media saying he better bring the kangaroo because I want a kangaroo. We always mention the kangaroo. So let us know how that flight over here was.
Well, Australia is kind of funny because they won't let you bring kangaroos out of the country, and you can't bring other animals into the country. So they're funny that way. I think there was a whole thing with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and their dog Pistol and Boo, um, and yeah. So the flight is long. It's a very, very, very long flight, and unless you're in first class or business class, it's pretty uncomfortable as well. There's just a point where your butt's like, I just can't take this anymore, especially at the age of 51 or 52 or however old I was when we did it. But the last one, yeah, it was about a 15-hour flight to Los Angeles, and then I had a layover for quite a few hours, and then had to go to, I think it was probably DFW or somewhere, and then on to New York. So it was about 30 something hours of travel. I got to New York, and because I decided to arrive early so I could get some rest. That was not to be. Rest was not to be had. So basically, I got to New York early to get some rest. And Jenny had already like booked rooms for us and stuff. But because I decided to show up earlier, I had booked my own separate 1 day Airbnb thing. So I got there early in the morning, on whatever morning it was. I got into Newark, got on a train from Newark to Penn Station, got off of Penn Station. Now, if anybody who knows Penn Station, there's really like nowhere to really hang out or sit unless unless you have a ticket saying you're going somewhere, which I only had a ticket saying I came from somewhere. They did allow me to use it to go and sit in this little kind of like area where you could sit for a little bit. But anyway, I called my Airbnb and said I'm here, and he said, "Oh, the room's not ready. I'll let you know when it is." So 7, 8 hours later, 7, 8 hours later, I get a call saying, "Come on by." So I was at this point, I was pretty mad because yeah, I'm not going to mention whose Airbnb it was or anything like that, but they did not get a great review from me. I ended up I had massive amounts of baggage, and I walked like 10, 15 blocks from Penn Station into Hell's Kitchen, and got to the Airbnb, lugged my heavy ass luggage up these, there's no elevator, and it's up the old building, up these stairs. And the dude opens the room, and we had rented what was in the picture. We were like, yes, we'll take that. And it was this nice bedroom in the picture, and it had a TV and a this and a that. We had rented that, as far as we were concerned. And the guy opens the door, and it's this closet with a mattress in it. And that's it. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at it. I'm sorry, what is this? I mean, is this where I put my bags? He's like, no, this is what you've rented. I was like, no, this is not what I've rented. He said, well, I've already rented the other rooms out. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to show you what I've rented. And I showed him, and he's like, no, see here, you clicked single. I'm like, yeah, I came here as a one person, but there's only one. You had one picture, and then he showed me, if you do a deep dive onto the page and start clicking through massive amounts of links, you can get to the picture of this disgustingly dirty, ratty closet room with a mattress, and it was disgusting. So I was so tired, and I was basically like, whatever, and I just went in, closed the door, sat on that mattress. I think sometime at 4:30 a.m. there was a stabbing outside the window in the alley behind me. Usually, I mean, New York's usually a pretty safe place near the city itself. But yeah, there's some weirdness going on. I could hear some screaming and some fighting. There was a pipe in the room. It's one of those really old buildings where there's a pipe that goes through each room that radiates heat. This pipe, for basically night and day, was just going, and so this is happening the whole time I'm in this room, and I'm at a point where I'm just kind of like, I'm like not under the covers. kind of curled up against a non-headboard, just, I'm just on this mattress, just kind of sitting there and just like, just going, this is not happening. This is a bad dream. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And people are like, why didn't you just go somewhere else? I'm like, there really was nowhere else to go. Like, this was Comic-Con. It was a Comic-Con weekend. Everything was booked. We were lucky to get the rooms we had. Anyway, so finally it was like 9 in the morning, and I was just like, okay, or earlier in the morning, I went out, got something to eat, came back, went to grab my stuff to jump in the shower, walked into the I had used the bathroom the night before, but it was darker and, I couldn't really see, looked in the bathroom and was like, yeah, no, I'm not showering in here. This is absolutely disgusting. So I think that you can bleep this out, but I think the term is I noped out. So I basically just went in my room, grabbed my shit and noped out of that place and walked another like 12 blocks to the hotel that Jenny had reserved for us, and said, is there by any chance my room ready? Because check-in wasn't officially until 4 o'clock p.m. I was there at like 9:30, 10 o'clock going, is there any chance? And I'm like, no, there isn't, but we'll let you know. However, I didn't even notice as I walked in, but I turned around and I looked, and the lobby just had these plush couches and chairs, and there was a place you get water, and I mean, it was just like, okay, you know what, this is fine. So I sat there for 3, 4, 5 hours, just with my computer, and that was a little bit more comfortable. Then at some point, I forget Orlando. That was his name. Orlando, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You were fantastic. Orlando took very good care of me while I was waiting for my room. And he let me know that my room was ready. And you know what? This was not a 5-star hotel, but as far as I was concerned, it was a 6-star hotel. Once I got up in there after that Airbnb. This room was just absolutely just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. I got in there, I took a long nap, a shower, slept. But yeah, so up until then, it was just one of the weirdest, most frustrating and annoying trips. And then everything just went good after that. So I don't know if you had heard these stories from somebody else, or which is why you were asking, or if, but yes, I haven't really told that I told it to a few people, but yeah, it was so hard getting there. But yeah, once I got into where Jenny booked us, God bless her, everything was fine. So
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard that. That sounds like a nightmare. Thank God you got through that.
it was
Oh
an
my God.
absolute.
And what was it like adjusting to the time zone? Did you adjust pretty quickly, or did it take you like a day or two to kind of just adjust?
I did not actually adjust until, I would say, it took about a week. So the show we'd already done the show. I was exhausted. During the rehearsal at one point, I just laid on the floor on my stomach on the floor of the rehearsal studio. I just and was like, I could sleep right now, but it's just loud, and so I'm not gonna. But it was, yeah, it took a while. I mean, I don't know if I was 20 again, 21, sure, I'm sure I'd have bounced back really quickly. But being 51, 52, whatever I was, yeah, 51 at the time, I'm 52 now. Yeah, no, there was no bouncing back quickly. So yeah, so I'm hoping I can make myself pass out on the plane for the entire plane ride. And for this one, I don't have to go to New York immediately after arriving in LA. I just get to LA and I'm there. So that's good too. And also, and New York, while I was there, was fantastic too. It wasn't just, it wasn't my experience with New York. Again, I've lived in New York for a little bit, a long time ago, but it wasn't just that bad experience. There was some good stuff. One of the first things I did, once I had showered and napped and all that, is I went downstairs, and there next door there was this pizza place, and I just went and got a slice, and it was just, after living in Australia for 15 years, man, a slice from New York was just, oh God, it was so good. Anyway.
Yeah, you had to get that slice of pizza in.
Oh, I did, and it was like the best pizza I'd had since I was last in New York, babe. Yeah, it was so good, so good.
So what was the rehearsals like? Did you remember all the words to the songs, or did anybody forget anything?
Um, for the most part, the rehearsals went great. I know, like, I made a bunch of like little mistakes during the actual show, and I can catalog them in my head. I know where I messed up. But like, we had one rehearsal in 30 years, I think no matter what, I think we all did a great job considering. I think everybody did great. Everybody pretty much remembered. Yeah, I think for the most part, everybody remembered the words and yeah, yeah, no, it was good. Everybody did. Plus we had the VIP event where we had people who basically, I don't know, they either pay or won a raffle or something, and they got to come in and watch us rehearse, and they got up and sang with us. And so we actually sang the California Dreams long theme song with them, which I think is you can find that online as well. And that was really good too, because some of those people I recognized as people on my Facebook and Instagram, and I know them, and I've known them like I didn't know them personally in person, but I've known them for years through social media. So it was really nice to actually just like see them there. So that's they know who they are. So Elaine, Red, Regina, Lauren, and the others, yes. So
And what was it like? You also had a Q&A. I wanted to know, was there any interesting questions that got brought up that you remember from the Q&A? What kind of questions did people ask?
they did a there's a regret that I have on that, and it's not anything I did that I regret. It's that we got cut off. We were being asked to say something nice about each other. So we were going down the list and going down the line, and they got to me, and everybody got to say something nice about me, and before that it was Brent, and before that it was uh, I think Aaron, and before that it was William. Um, and then there were other people. So there was Jenny, Diana, Michael, and Kelly. And then after they finished me, it was like, oh, we're just out of time. So we're not going to say nice things about the other people. We didn't, that's not how it was worded, but it was like, I wanted to participate and talk about my affection for these other people as well. And so that was yeah, so that was kind of strange. And but other than that, like most of the questions were just I think there was a lot of talk about Jake being a man whore. Um, Going between Tiffany and Lorena. Lorena had brought up they asked Lorena about how she felt about the breakup, and she's like, she said, this was kind of funny. She said, I wanted to like go in there being sad. But the director's like, no, you're good with it. The writers or the directors are like, no, you're good with it. You're fine. You're just moving on. And then Michael, of course, was like, well, that's because she filled up Sly. So, but yeah, no, it was good. It was a lot of fun and a lot of, small poignant moments there. So it was nice.
Did the reunion make you realize even more how much the fans loved you guys? Because I mean, you already knew, but going into this, after you actually saw everybody come out and, like you said, meeting the kids of the people who watched you and things like that, did you feel it had a bigger impact on people than you originally thought from the stories they shared with you?
Yes. Yes. We got I was able to talk to a lot of people who basically said stuff like, you got me through stuff. And I think Aaron has mentioned this. I think Brentley's mentioned this. I think a few people have mentioned this. I think some of the girls have mentioned this. Like people say that our show got us through stuff. And it's good to hear stuff like that, because I struggled as a kid with things. And just knowing that people were watching our show and finding some joy And then having to go and deal with whatever they were dealing with. Maybe it was an unhappy, broken home, or maybe it was bullying, or maybe it was, whatever it was. And then being able to just escape for a little bit into our world. I'm grateful for the opportunity that I was given the opportunity to be part of that. That's awesome. That's a great thing. And it's not one of those things like, sure, I'd love some, like, I would have loved to have had some meaty, juicy role where I did some terrible thing. I played some serial killer or something. But with this, like, there's nothing bad. It was so wholesome and so nice and good and yeah. So yeah, it was nice to see that fans have. I'm really having a really hard time putting this in words. It's going to make me want to cry. Yeah, it's nice to see the fans really have stuck with us, that we really did have an impact, and just grateful for that opportunity to have been there. So, okay.
And compared to back in the day, what was the audiences like at the live tapings? And did anybody that showed up, did they say that, they met you years ago at a taping or at a meet and greet or anything like that?
Okay, yeah, the live tapings were nut house. They were insane. Like, we would walk out and they would just lose their minds. It was like we were it was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to say like what most people would expect me to say here, but it was like a thing. It was big. It was crazy. We would go to malls and stuff and do appearances, and it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. What was the second part of the question?
If anybody that watched you either in person at a live taping or met you back in the day, if they were at the meet and greet, if anybody came up
Yeah,
to you and said that.
there was Jenny was doing a Comic-Con, and a girl named Lisa had gone up to her and said, "Can I share a story with you?" And Jenny said, "Wait a minute," and she filmed it, a story about me. And she filmed it, and she said, "When I was a kid, I wrote Jay a fan letter. And I asked him, I said, 'Can you please write me back or call me?' And she said she had put her number. And she said, 'And do you know what Jay did? Jay called me.'" And I remember that. I kind of like, I have a recollection of being like, "Oh yeah, I remember this girl saying or call me." So I had called her. So yes, there was, yeah, yes, we do get some of that. And I have run into a few people who said, "Oh my God, I met you as a kid." And I get that here and there. So on Facebook the other day, there was a Lisa Swaduli. I had gone to Ohio, and she had found me on Facebook after all these years. I was like, "Do you remember me?" And she had a picture of me and her when she was a young teenage girl, and just doing the meet and greet and the signing and everything. And she said, and she as another one that said, she said, "This made my life because I was really struggling at that time." So yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Do you have a favorite memory as far as a blooper from back in the day?
Um, the amount of Migaresh, the amount of gum that I had to shove in my mouth for that scene, that wad of gum was about that big. And I was thinking, can I just like put it like one piece and pretend it's big? And I think we tried that and it just didn't work. Like, I just couldn't like it just didn't look like it was, and it didn't muffle the "I want a cigarette" or "I want a Migaresh" sound enough. So yeah, that was pretty rough, and like, yeah, just spitting that out was really gross. Unfortunately, I wish there has to be somebody with bloopers somewhere. Somebody has to have a blooper reel, or our California Dreams bloopers, but we cannot find them. Or nobody knows where they are, or nobody has told us they have them. Sorry, just checking something here. Making sure it's not okay. All right, cool. So yeah, so and I think, yeah, there was a thing where we did play practical jokes on people at some points. I think I have relayed this story before. During a dress rehearsal during season 2, I think Brentley was making a sandwich, as Matt Garrison. And Winkle walks in, grabs a sandwich, and picks it up and starts eating it. And of course, Matt Garrison's like, "Oh man," or "Hey, that's mine," or something like that. Well, we somehow we got some kind of jalapenos or habanero, I don't know what it was, just some kind of hot pepper. We just put them in the sandwich. So Michael came out, ate it, and yeah, we had a laugh. So there's stuff, but like not we can't find
Yeah.
anything on tape.
Do you have a favorite line of the series that whether you said or a different character said?
Um, wow. I think I think I think the final episode, I think it kind of summed up the whole thing. It was like family saying goodbye to each other. We knew it, like we knew this was the last episode. But I think it was when uh it was just me and Sly standing there at the end, which I found to be pretty ironic. Um, but it was we had some battles, didn't we? And it's like we sure did. And then you really kept me on my toes. Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, he both in and out of character. Michael Cade, and I think we really kept each other on our toes. And I think it was the same with the rest of the cast as well. Like it was just we had our battles and we had our victories and we had our we it was I think that pretty much just kind of summed it all up. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Who would you say was the most like their character and who was the least like their character?
Hands down, Michael is the most like his character. I don't know about like the money and the but as far as just like being a smart ass and yeah, Michael is hands down Sylvester Winkle. Least like their character. Uh, I would say probably now it'd probably be William, but at the time William was the most was very much like his character. Now William's very he's still funny. He's still, but he's a bit more serious. He's a doctor. He's got things on his mind. Um, yeah. Somebody. I think they said in an interview. Somebody said in an interview that I was the least like my character, where I always felt like I was a lot like my character. So but they said I was like a teddy bear or something, and I'm like, well, wasn't Jake I don't know, wasn't Jake a teddy bear? I don't know. So maybe it was me. I don't know. So, but yeah, definitely the one most like would be Michael. And yeah, he's still hilarious. But anyway,
If you could have played a different character on the show, let's say you didn't get cast as Jake, would you have tried for one of the other roles?
um, I th- I think I think I have this vague recollection of like I didn't really know the show before I got on it, but I have a vague recollection of auditioning for a character named Sly. I am very glad Michael Cade got that part. And honestly, like I don't think I would have been right for it at all. He was right for it. He was perfect for it. I don't think I could have done it justice. I was a decent actor. I was okay, but I just think that he was just so much better at that part than I would have been. And then again, it might have been Sly in another show. I have no idea. Like I have this vague recollection. But any other character? Tony Wick? No, I have no idea. I'm glad it ended up the way it did. I'm glad it ended up the way it did. So
Where
with
do
the
you
exception of, I'm sorry, with the exception of, I kind of wish Brentley had stayed on, with all of us. So,
Yep.
but
where would you see Jake Sommers now, his character?
I would see Jake Sommers. He would be performing to sold out stadiums. He would also be a massive philanthropist. I think he'd be living a pretty Spartan life. You know, a lot of his money would be going to helping causes, and he'd be an activist, and he'd be because Jake cared about things. He did care about things. So I think he would be, yeah, like I said, a philanthropist, activist, but he'd be performing and yeah. I don't know if you've seen like Dave Grohl is just kind of a legend, and Jack Black, two legendary human beings. These guys just do so much for other people, and yet they also play to these sold out crowds. Dave Grohl came to Australia with the Foo Fighters. Then he spent 16 hours in each city between shows, feeding the homeless, cooking food for the homeless between shows. Like, so no real rest. You know, that's legendary crap. I'd like to think Jake would be doing stuff like that. But Jake's also fake and and a hype and not a real character. You know, so I'd like to think Jake would be doing that sort of thing. But yes, hats off to Dave Grohl, Jack Black, those people. Those guys just do amazing things. So
Now, the series was set in high school. Do you remember at the time if anybody was actually in high school and had an on-set tutor?
I think Kelly and William were just ending theirs as I came on. I think I was the oldest, or me and Brentley were the oldest. So I had been out of school for quite a while at that point. I I don't remember seeing them being tutored or anything. That might have been happening in their rooms, but I think that I heard I had gotten wind that Kelly and William were in tutoring at one point on the set. I could be wrong. But I do remember that they did have that at one point from them saying it. But as far as it happening and me seeing it, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Now, there was a principal on the set. Unfortunately, he did pass away. He was played by Earl Bowen, and he played Principal Lumford. Can you tell
Yep.
us your memories of him?
Well, first of all, watching Earl Bowen walk onto the set this guy is a prolific character actor. This guy has been in everything since before I was born. Like I grew up, he was in everything I watched as a kid. Absolutely everything. He was in MASH. He was in everything. So watching him walk on to the set, it was like, what's he doing here? This is awesome. And they're like, oh, he's the principal. Oh, this is great. And then watching him bring Principal Blumford to life, it was like I didn't expect him to camp up Blumford so wonderfully. Like he just made him just this cartoony yet real guy. Like he was a real dude, and you can imagine a guy being like this, but he did it in a way where it was almost cartoony and funny. And that being said, he was also just one of the nicest guys you ever met. So when I heard of his passing, it was, yeah, it was a sad day. It was a very sad day.
And now, can you tell everybody what you're up to now, what you're doing nowadays?
Now I work a 9 to 5. I work for a company that manufactures and designs audio visual software and hardware for film and television production, cameras, switchers, green screen hardware, software, you know, all that stuff. I don't, yeah, so I'm sort of still in the business, you know. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. It's extremely tedious work, but it's rewarding, and it pays well, and so you know, you do what you got to do. And yeah, so starting to think about, you know, maybe acting again at some point, so we'll see.
And now, can we look forward to more conventions from California Dreams in the future?
I hope so. We're trying to get what's happening is a lot of the people who run the conventions or book the conventions, just because we're not streaming, they're like, eh. And we're trying to figure out how to get us streaming. But unfortunately, I think there's too many people to pay because of the musicians and and the original songs and so yeah, we just I'd like to get us streaming, and then hopefully that would put us in more cons and build up our fan base even more. And I'm grateful for the fans that have stuck with us. But yeah, we'd like more, and we'd like to just do the cons. Like, even if I never got back into acting or we never did a reboot, just go to cons, just meet and greet, say hello to people. That would just be a great life. Yeah, I'd love to be doing more.
Yep, because I mean, obviously the fans remember you, so we got to get you into more cons there. Guys,
Appreciate it.
reach out to your local cons. If you've got a con in your area, tell them you want to see the California Dreams. And now, Jay,
Yep.
what we are going to do is we are going to play the lightning round.
I remember this. Okay.
Yes, so I'm going to name you two things. You tell me which one you prefer. So, would you prefer to be playing poker or blackjack?
I'm actually pretty good at blackjack, but I also am pretty good at poker. I'm kind of a loner these days, so blackjack.
Truth or dare?
Truth. I'm too old for dare.
Now, not like we want you to be wearing a cast, but if you had one on your arm or leg, would you rather have a cast on your arm and be in a sling, or be on crutches and have one on your leg?
You know what? I broke my upper humerus right here in 2000 no 17 or 18. It's one of the worst things that has ever happened to me in my life. I was actually
Was it humorous at least when you did it?
It was not even remotely humorous.
Then it definitely was pointless to break it.
And like just that had me bedridden for almost 6 months, because you have no idea like how much just this area is attached to the rest of your body. I would rather lose an arm than break a femur or a humerus. I'd rather just lose it. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, that's a hard question.
Pizza with toppings or pizza with no toppings?
Oh, toppings, man. Come on.
City life or country life?
In between. I'd like to be able to go to both.
Air hockey or ping pong?
Air hockey.
Simpsons or South Park?
South Park. Oh, but Homer fan all the way.
What's worse? Surf dudes with attitude or J. Anthony Franke when he's hungry?
Oh, I'm pretty bad when I'm hungry. Yeah, I'd rather deal with a surf dude with attitude than me when I'm hungry. So, but fortunately, I cook. So, yeah.
Pac-Man or Cubert?
Oh, Pac-Man. Cubert was awesome though.
Would you rather have a new phone or a new laptop?
New laptop.
Skee ball or whack-a-mole?
Skee ball.
And would you rather be able to change the past or foresee the future? But I think we kind of answered this, because you kind of already do see the future.
Right, right. Changing the past is such a dangerous thing, but the thing about changing the past, when people talk about time travel, everybody's like, be careful. Careful that you don't mess up one little thing. But have you ever noticed that nobody says, hey, be careful that you don't mess up one little thing now because of the effect that it's going to have on the future? It's a weird thing to me. So yeah, I guess since we already impact the future with the little things we do right now, I guess I'd like to be able to foresee the future.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us here today. What would you like to say to all the fans who are watching today, and how can they keep up with you on social media?
Okay, one, thanks for watching. I love you all. You guys are fantastic. We have the best fans on the planet. It was so good to see those of you that came out. It's going to be so good to see those of you that came out for the last one come into the next one. It's going to be so good to see the ones that didn't come out to the last one come out to the next one. It's going to be so good to see you all. To those of you who can't make it, I'm so sorry. Hopefully we'll make it to your town at some point, or at least somewhere near. To those in the UK who've been asking for a UK concert, we're really trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure it out. That is a logistical nightmare at this point, but we're trying to figure it out. But yeah, thank you for being fans. We love you. And if you want to keep in touch, there is CaliforniaDreamsBand.com. There's also my Instagram, which I go on and humiliate myself on an almost daily basis. I'm kidding. I play a little guitar sometimes when I'm having a drink and post a little snippet. But that's at J. Anthony Franke, one word. My Facebook is also at J. Anthony Franke. I don't remember what my TikTok is, probably the same thing. You can look up that as well. But yeah, find me. I usually will add you, and yeah, so unless you come at me weirdly or whatever. There's been some people that have come at me with some anger and I've been like, oh, well, I don't want you on here. So yeah, anyway.
And you guys can follow me as well on YouTube, obviously, at Official Mike Grand and The Mike Grand. On Facebook, at Official Mike Grand. On Instagram, Official Mike Grand. On X, it is MikeGrand.com, like the website MikeGrand.com. And you can also listen to me on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts as well. Thank you
Follow
so
Mike
much.
Grand.
Yes.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Follow Mike Grand. Mike, it was good to see you as always.
Yep, you too. And thank you guys for watching. We will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.
See y'all later.